Hello.
You're fine.
Hello. Alert.
All right, here we go.
So, obviously, we're going to take notes again. So, go ahead and get out your notebook. Today, we'll have 3 sections. The first one's going to be for AKKAD. The second Cornell notes will be set up for Babylonia. And then the last one will be set up for Assyria. And there won't be a whole lot of writing, but I want you to stay with me as we go through stuff. Yes? Yes, of course you can move up. You can sit on the floor if you want to. You can put up a chair. The other classes, we didn't get to summaries today. So we'll see how everyone participates and how things are going. Okay? So last week, remember we talked about Samaria, right? And Samaria was a whole bunch of city-states. And what was the problem with the city-states? They didn't what? Yeah, they didn't get along and they didn't support each other. And you're so much stronger together than you are apart. So you have these Sumerian city-states in the Mesopotamia Valley that we've looked at several times. Okay? And they're not super strong because they're not sticking together. And then you have this other group of people up in the mountains coming down and looking at the Sumerians. And they're kind of jealous, right? Because they have the best land. The Sumerians have gone from being a hunter-gatherer, and it takes them out to Galilee. Is that simple? Your choice. I'll give you a couple minutes to think about it. If it's not out here in a few minutes, then you gotta leave. Okay. AKKAD. So they go from being a hunter-gatherer society to be an agrarian society. What would that mean? Hunter-gatherers, agrarian. Yes. Well, better, yes. But agrarian, if they're not a hunter-gatherer, then you're going to be a... Now, actually, a farmer, right? They're going to be a farmer. So they're going to have these great fields for producing wheat and other things that they need. And so these other groups are going to look down upon them, and they're going to be like, you know, I think we can take them. They don't stick together. Not only are these other groups going to be kind of looking at them and studying them, these other groups are going to come up with this really cool way to attack them. Okay? And what they do is they domesticate the horses in the area, and they learn how to ride them. So they practice and they practice. They learn how to ride on the back of a horse, how to shoot spears and bows and arrows off the horses. And can you imagine the Sumerians' faces when these herds of horses come out of the mountains, charge through their cities with people riding on the backs, right? They're like, holy cow, right? That's where I messed up this morning, right? Holy cow, look at these people on horseback. Like, what are they doing? Wow, we didn't even know you could do that. And they take over the Sumerian territory. And the reason we bring the Achans up and Acadia, because our first king is formed that creates an empire. The first empire of the world dates back to King Sargon. Sargon hits all those city-states and he says, no longer can you have your own ruler for your city-state. No longer can you choose the God that you want to worship. You're going to do what I say. And he'll send his people out to those areas and report back to him to make sure that they do what he says. Right? He pulls it all together and controls it all. But he's got a problem. Kings are not immortal, are they? No. And I think you guys know this, but in case you don't know it, right, kings usually pass their kingdom down to their sons, right? So if you ever see a really nice parents in an area and they like volunteer in town and everybody likes them, but they have little stinkers for kids. Yeah. King Sargon, right? His kids just can't hold it together. They cannot rule like their father. The people don't like them. They won't do what they say. And King Zargon loses his empire to a group that come in called the Babylonians. So for Agin, right, your main points, make sure you know about King Zargon, that he's the first emperor, right? He creates the first empire. He is referred to as a king instead of an emperor, and we'll get to that later in history. You're going to first see horses, okay? Horses used in battle. So then the Babylonians come along when King Zargon dies. And as the Babylonians grow in strength, they get one of the most famous kings in history as their king. A guy by the name of Hammurabi. Pretty intelligent guy. He looks at his empire and he goes, oh man, Landon over there, he's not behaving very well. I should probably write down a set of laws so he knows how to behave. Okay, so he knows how to behave. He gets with his scribes. Do you remember what the scribes were? Yes. What were scribes?
They were servants.
They're servants, but what did they do specifically? Yeah, they kept the records for the kings, right? So he has his scribes carve out, get this, 282 laws that the Babylonians are expected to abide by. And he assigns punishments for them as well. Some of them are quite bizarre, right? And some of them we still lean on today. Not that we're following his code by any means, but we looked at them, our forefathers looked at them as they designed our codes for the United States. I mean, they're going to look at the Romans and the Greeks too, but they do go all the way back. He is so important that he is carved into the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. Hammurabi is. Okay. So make sure you know about King Hammurabi. Make sure you know about Hammurabi's code, right? A system of laws. Some of them, like I said, are a bit kind of rough, right? Some of them are a little bit rough. Matter of fact, I sometimes refer to them as the hammer of right? Hammer, because they're so tough. Let's take a look at a couple of them. Slander. Oh, we have that in the United States today. You cannot commit slander, right? Otherwise you break the law. What's slander? All right, so let me pick on Elliot for a minute. Yay! Okay? Slander is when you tell lies about someone to an extent that it causes them a problem. So let's say in 7th grade, girls don't date Elliot. He uses girls. He only asks you to be his girlfriend so he can kiss you and then dump you because he wants to kiss more girls than anybody else in the world. He wants to be in the Guinness Book of World Record for kissing girls. Don't date him. He's just using you. Okay? Poor Elliot doesn't get a date throughout junior high. He doesn't get a date throughout high school. No prom date. His reputation goes with him to college. No date. Poor Elliot is now 50 years old, not married. And his life has just been ruined because Mrs. Koppelman in the 7th grade started this vicious rumor about him using girls. He can take me to court, right? He has to prove what I said was a lie. So we would go to court, maybe he goes to Bailey as a witness, and she was like, no, I didn't, Elliot. He didn't just date me to give me a kiss, because I never kissed him, and he dated me a long time, right? If he can prove what I said was a lie, the court can assess me a punishment. I might have to pay for his ruined life. I don't know. Maybe I have to pay for his therapy sessions, or give him some money because he was so distraught he couldn't hold down a job, right? But if he doesn't prove that what I said was a lie, then I can keep on saying Okay? But that's what slander is. And the idea for slander first developed all the way back in 1700 BC. Theft. Of course, theft in Hammurabi's time is a little bit stricter than ours. We court this. Yes. In this case, in Hammurabi, you could die. You could die. Okay? Oh, and this one's kind of cool, right? Let's pretend that Trinity and I, we're royalty. Okay? Both of us. We're way up on that pyramid. We're up here with the royals. And Trinity loses her patience with me as she goes to smack me, but she has something in her hand that she accidentally knocks my eye. Takes my eye out. Guess what I get to do to her? Take her eye out. I get to take her eye out back, right? How cool is that, right? Yeah. Have you ever heard an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth? Yeah. That comes back all the way back to Hammurabi. Now, although it sounds fair, it kind of depends on your social class. Because if Riley is a royal and I'm a slave, and she accidentally puts my eye out or breaks my leg, she just has to pay my master some money, right? It doesn't work as even if you're on different social classes. But it's a start, right? It's a start about outlining laws and how people should behave. There's some bizarre stuff on these codes. Let's go back here. I picked on LA because we know that's not true, right? He doesn't want to break the Guinness World Record. He just wants to kiss a few.
Hey guys, welcome to Hip Use History. We're doing a world history quickie for you guys out there. How about that? Code of Hammurabi. It's going to be on the exam. So whether you're in high school or you're a lifelong learner or cray-cray on the internet, let's go get them done right now. So the Code of Hammurabi dates back to Mesopotamia. We're talking 1754 BC. That's a very long, great time ago. And that's why it's really important. The sixth Babylonian king Hammurabi made judgments on civil matters and family matters and sexual matters and slavery matters and inheritance matters and crime and lots of decisions. And he decided to write them down. Whether he wrote them down to self-glorify himself because he was like, yo, I'm a king and I'm really important, or whether they actually were kind of like legal government codes that ran the city is really irrelevant. What's important, and this is kind of the thesis, the big idea, is that these legal codes, these 282 laws, are really going to influence that area for a millennium, for thousands of years, and they're even going to drift into parts of our own legal code. Actually, Hammurabi is etched into the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. That's how important it is, kiddies. So let's take a look at it. Let's break it up like a Kit Kat bar. So really, I just want to talk a little bit about generalities. You've all heard kind of the, an eye for an eye. But if you actually read that, and that's code 196, let's go to the tape.
If a man destroy the eye of another man, they shall destroy his eye. If one break a man's bone, they shall break his bone. If one destroy the eye of a freeman or break the bone of a freeman, he shall pay 1 mandra of silver. If one destroy the eye of a man's slave or break a bone of a man's slave, he shall pay 1/2 his price.
So see, it's not exactly equal according to your social class, right?
Oh, that's not as cool as you thought it was. Yeah, it's definitely kind of like a caste system. Depending on who you steal from or who you sleep or who you kill, that's going to really determine punishment. And there's really kind of slaves and commoners. There's an upper class, and then there's royalty. And I'm telling you, if you look at royalty the wrong way, they're going to cut your nose off. But really, the majority of Hammurabi's code is actually kind of civil law, like property codes and liabilities. There's actually a minimum wage. There's property rights in there and insurance concepts. And some of the most important concepts are probably in about a third of that document that relate to crime type of stuff. And there's some gruesome stuff in there, man. There really is. But nevertheless, there's also stuff in there about like innocent until proven guilty, and that you have to provide evidence in a trial, and that you have to have witnesses in your favor. And of course, if you're lying, we're gonna drown you. But nevertheless, those are the concepts that bleed really into today. And there's a whole bunch of stuff about marriage and sex and divorce, and it gets a little bit creepy, to be honest with you. I don't want to talk about it. It's impossible right now. But what I did was I chose my breast, and I'm going to throw in 210.
Because I'm
If
not
a man has
comfortable with
struck
that
a
one in
free
the class.
woman with child and has caused her to miscarry, he shall pay 10 shekels for her miscarriage. If that woman die, his daughter shall be killed.
So get this, right? If a guy strikes a pregnant gal and the baby dies, he pays a fine, okay? If a guy strikes a lady who's pregnant and she dies, they kill his daughter. Not him, his daughter, right?
Because he has to live with me.
Uh-huh. I don't. That's not fair to girls, is it? Right? Your brother gets to live, but you get to die.
Yay!
How about this one? Here's another one.
Oh my goodness, his daughter wasn't even there. And then here's the last one. Maybe this one's my favorite.
If a woman has hated her husband and has said, "You shall not possess me," her past shall be inquired into as to what she lacks. If she has been discreet and has no vice, and her husband has gone out and has greedily belittled her, that woman has no blame. She shall take her marriage portion and go off to her father's house. If she has not been discreet, has gone out, ruined her house, belittled her husband, she shall be drowned.
So you want to separate from your spouse or want a divorce, they're going to look at what the girl did wrong. Okay. So if the girl did something wrong, they'll just drown you. Now, if they find that you didn't do anything wrong, all right, they'll look. Nothing happens to him if it's his fault, but you can just have out and go live with your dad. Right? Well, history is not fair to girls, right? Not fair to girls.
It's all of it.
That's pretty gangster. Yeah, you can take a look at it. I put a link down below. Some of them are pretty funny, but they're definitely really, really important. Not for their gruesomeness, but really for setting kind of that concept of this is what a government does, this is law and order, these are the rules. That's really important. All right, guys, make sure.
All right. So, like I said, some pretty bizarre stuff. I just pulled a couple extra here. Yeah, this one, right? If you're a neighborhood and you're over here in your neighborhood someplace else, right? Two different places in Hammurabi's kingdom. And let's say that Skylar, she decides to steal bread. I don't know why you're going to steal bread, but you decide you're going to steal bread from their community, right? She's found guilty. All of you guys have to pay this community money.
Wait,
Right?
what?
I know he did it, but you all are in trouble.
Nope.
Can you imagine feeling responsibility for everybody in this room? Like if somebody didn't do their work, you all got in trouble. Right? Put your chair down, please. I love it. Hey. This one's kind of, I don't know, I like the concept kind of. If you accuse someone and you don't have any proof, and you go to court, but you don't have any proof, you're put to death. You gotta make sure you have proof, right? And then this one, you're an architect and you build somebody a building. If for any reason that building should collapse, you did. Yeah. I know, right? You did.
Everybody did. You did.
What is cool from Hammurabi that I really like is the idea of being innocent until proven guilty, right? We took that into America. You are said to be innocent until you go to court and they prove that you did it. And I really, really like that. So, it has some bizarre stuff, but there's some good stuff in there too. So, King Hammurabi, smart guy, right? Creates a system of laws and codes, fixes a court system, Some of the stuff, wish he would have been nicer to girls, but he didn't ask us, right? He's really smart about his placement of his capital, right? Babylonia is the capital, or excuse me, Babylon is the capital, and he puts it right between the Tigris and the Euphrates. Pretty smart, right? You have transportation coming up and down the rivers, and then he has a system of roads that shoot out to Egypt, over to the Middle East, over to the West, so that everyone has access to trade with Babylonia. So you're going to see fine cotton from Egypt, you're going to see spices from the East. Everyone's going to want to come in these huge caravans, bringing their goods to the bazaar that's in Babylonia. Okay? But all good things must come to an end. Hammurabi's going to pass away too, because we know kings aren't immortal. They're going to go through some other kings. I mean, we could go through every one. It would take forever, right? But eventually,
get the right to do things. What king made it happen?
wait, what?
What girls think them?
Not really too many kings do. In Egypt, you're going to see a couple girls rise to rule.
But who made it that way? Who made
The
it?
girls. We'll talk about it when we get there, okay? We're going to get there. So, eventually, Babylonia loses their might, their power, and a group called the Assyrians come in. Okay? And the Assyrians are going to be fierce warriors. They're going to take the horses. Remember how the Akkadians came in on horses? Now they're going to even make them better. They're going to teach the horses to pull things like these huge chariots with battering rams on them. Everybody know what a battering ram is?
I know. I just said cool.
Yeah.
It's like a log that they carve, and then if people shut the door on them, either if they're big ones, they have them like on whack.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But if they're not, they have people carry them and they bash.
And they bash them. Remember the big gates, right? Remember there's a big wall that goes around the city on the hill. But they can take a battering ram and just bang that wall, or the doors, the weakest spots, to get inside the cities. You're going to see the Assyrians, right? They're going to be the ones that put the rocks in the slings, and right? Some people know the story of David and Goliath. Yeah, they back to the stuff here.
They took the rocks.
Yep. Okay. You're going to see them wearing armor. No one else has armor at this time. So as other, their enemies are shooting at them, they're protected, for the most part. They're great, great warriors. So make sure you know the Syrians came along about 1500 BC. Great warriors. You might talk about their chariots. Make sure you know about their armor. If I give you a timeline and you only have the choice between Sumer, Babylonia, and Assyria, it's going to look like that, right? If I give you Achan, you can put Achan in there too. But I don't think the test has Achan on there.
There was one consequence when they would drop you to death, you'd get thrown in a hole.
Uh-huh.
Everybody would just gather